Hey everyone, I'm Kendall.
And I'm Lex.
And this is All Your Heart, Soul, and Strength. Here at this YouTube channel, our main goal is to speak God's truth and show how it applies to every area of your life.
If you're new here, welcome, or if you're a returning watcher, thank you so much for your support. Please like and subscribe, and if you were moved by this message and you feel like it could benefit others, go ahead and share it.
We hope you enjoy today's episode.
Hello everyone, welcome back. We are excited for this episode, especially Kendall. I'm going to be taking the back seat for a majority of this episode because this is where Kendall just likes to thrive.
Back seat, it's about vehicles. That's funny.
Oh my gosh, it is. No pun intended there. But we're going to be going over car payments and how it is stealing from your future wealth, your future financial freedom. This is something Kendall just feels very strongly about, and he's very knowledgeable in this area. So I'm gonna let him take it away, and I'll chime in for on the things that I like.
Yeah, so, please help along the way. So yeah, for what we're going to do with today's episode is we're going to do a kind of a deep dive in a specific example on. We're going to walk through just every step of an example that would be a long-term hindrance to your wealth. We're going to go show in how it would be a short affecting on your wealth, and then how long-term over a longer span of period of time, how these little, it's a big choice, but at the same time it's a little thing that can be changed, and how this little choice could change your future in 30 years, and how much it could set you up for your future wealth.
Yeah, so, and it's really hard to look 30 years in advance, you know, because I mean, you need if you are blessed to be able to have one, you need a vehicle. Yep. So it's almost a necessity. You know, there are other means of transportation, but people just, like we've said before, they get caught up in the instant gratification, the flashy, the show.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. Which we all fall victim to that. We love nice vehicles. We're definitely blessed with two amazing vehicles, with which we're all paid off. Praise God.
Yeah.
We got two great paid off vehicles, and so it's something that we preach. We're not just coming to you to bring you this info and not live it ourselves. We always try everything we talk about to practice. To practice what we preach. And so this will dive specifically on car notes, but it can also just open your eyes to any amount you might be spending on something and what it could be long term. Whether that be, maybe too many trips in a year or something. Like it could be a lot of different things.
Things that add up.
Yeah, things that will add up over time that might not even be the specific amount of money. But what it does is, like Lex said, when we show this example to you, it helps you to really gauge how much it can be in your future and how much it affects you and hinders you. And so going off of that, before we dive into this, it's just one of the main issues in today's society. We've talked about instant gratification, like you'd mentioned, but also how we're really wired to try to please others and to look rich to others.
Look the part.
Yeah, look the part. And what you'll find, and it shocks a lot of people, is a lot of people who drive these nice vehicles really can't afford them. And
they can pay for them.
You can pay for them and afford a car note.
Yeah.
Which isn't truly affording a car because of how much it's stealing from you. So you may see, it's funny, most people who have millions of dollars and who are very wealthy, a lot of times don't drive nice cars. I mean, billionaires have great collections of cars, and you'll see those people when on the shows when it's like, look at my collection and stuff like that. For the most part, the everyday millionaire, people who really who are teachers or different people who really just follow the tendencies of saving money, they don't drive the nice vehicles. They realize, okay, I just need a transportation. And
what's the saying? Money talks, but wealth whispers.
Exactly. Yeah, and it's so good because wealth isn't showy. And it's not to say don't get nice things, but it's to have a time and place of when you can afford them.
Having the right order.
Exactly. So, being able to pay for a $700 note for 8 years, that's not setting you up for future wealth. It's just really, it's not. And so
on something that depreciates as soon as you drive it off the lot.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's not like paying a house note. We're not talking about a mortgage or anything.
Something that appreciates, which is another thing we're going to talk about in this, is like what you take when you're not putting all that money in depreciating asset where you should be placing it. And so we're going to walk through little examples on where to put your money, which is the stuff it appreciates in. So I just thought it was good before we start with the example to just kind of give the background on that, because in today's world it's very construed on what rich versus wealth is. There's
Yeah.
Looking the part versus are you truly wealthy, and set yourself up for your older years and or your kids if you have them, like setting them up for their futures and passing down that generational wealth.
If you just have that very heavy burning desire to have a car that is really not within your means right now, ask yourself why. Is it pride? Is it, wanting to show off to a particular someone? Where's your root? And like we've said in our first video, take it captive and, think, why do I feel the need to really have this? Who am I trying to impress?
Yeah, and if at the end of the day it's just because I like nice cars and I want one, then get it, but do it the right way. Save up for it. Get to the place and part of your life where like, hey, that's the car I wanted. I've saved up for it. Make it your goal.
It doesn't have to be a to-do list. Make it a goal.
Because some people, I like driving my vehicle. It's something I enjoy. Just make sure, like Lex said, you're doing it for the right reasons. Because what I really see is, I would hate for people to sabotage their future for views of others.
Yeah.
It's just
That's
not
good.
It's not worth it. It's just not worth to sabotage what your future could be, just how people perceive you.
Yeah.
Which is in this, day and age with social media, it's easier said than done, but it's just what God preaches at the end of the day is like, do it for yourself, So before we jump in this example, we want to just give a broad overview of the averages on how much a car is costing you during a month. So as you know, most people are financing a vehicle, which means you're not done paying for it after your purchase because you're only putting down a down payment.
Right.
So according to Experian, the average monthly car payment is over $700 for a new car and over $500 for a used car. Over a 6-year span is usually when people are doing them, but there is an 8-year offered now, which is becoming a little bit more popular, but 6 is the average what people choose.
But and it's messed up because that's how the dealerships are getting some of these people into these 8-year notes. Because I've had several friends say, "Oh, but there was a deal going on where I now get 2 additional years to pay on it,"
as if it's a gift,
as if it's so gracious, as if these 2 years are just the greatest gift given to them,
when
and
it's
costing,
it's costing
when
you
it's
more,
costing
and
them more,
it makes it appear like you can afford the car even more because you're like, oh, the car payment's even more because it's spread over 2 more years.
But anyway, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, that's a good point because it's just a tactic salespeople will use with that. So
sorry to all of our car salesmen out there.
So what we're going to dive into now is we really wanted to walk through this example covering 2 different people and just dive into what they used $15,000 for. So the example is going to go over what Carl used $15,000 towards, and then what Sam used that same $15,000 towards. So
if you're listening to this just audio, please watch this on YouTube because there's going to be a lot of screen graphics it's going to make this a little easier to follow. So we have Car Note Carl and Saver Sam.
Yes, and so we're going to, on the screen while we're explaining these, we'll have the calculator that calculates all the interest over years of time, how long the car payment is, say, how much interest you're paying on. It's all going to be shown for you, but we're going to read through it just so in a more simplistic form. But we just wanted to show it on screen just so that way you had all the info, and it just shows you, okay, this is where these numbers are coming from. We're not just pulling them out of nowhere, So if you want to start with Car Note Carl.
All right, so for Car Note Carl, he's bee-boo-bopped up into the dealership looking for a car. Don't know what he got, but let's say that his brand new vehicle was $50,000. He has $15,000 saved up for his down payment. So that means, subtract those. He has $35,000 left owed on this car before he even walks off the lot. That's what he owes. He gets a 96-month note, which is 8 years. So his note is $477, and that's with 7% interest, which is pretty average.
That's the average car note interest. Correct.
So he drives it for a total of 8 years. So now it is paid off. His total interest after 8 years was $10,800. That's just from the interest alone. So his actual car cost was $60,800
for a $50,000
for a $50,000 brand new vehicle, right?
Exactly.
Which probably wasn't even worth $50,000 to begin with.
Exactly.
He probably could have drove it off the lot, gone and traded in somewhere else, and got significantly less for it.
Exactly. And after we walk through these two examples of these two people, we'll show how much depreciation that was even costed him, to show you just how much he really lost on that vehicle, because it's even more than just paying this extra 10 grand. Okay, so next you have Saver Sam. So on the screen you'll see this is an investment calculator, and what we're going to be using here is very safe average numbers that you are pretty much guaranteed in the market. So
yeah, we're not overestimating anything to scare you.
We're using 10% average rate of return, and you can usually probably get about 12, but 10 is a good safe number, just so we're trying to stay at a good area. So say Saver Sam uses that same $15,000 that Car Note Carl used, but Saver Sam uses it to buy a vehicle flat out, a used vehicle, and buys it flat out in full. He also drives this vehicle for 8 years, but with that $477 amount that he did not put towards a car note, he invests that same amount into the S&P 500. For y'all who don't know, the S&P 500 simplistically is just a combination of many different businesses in the stock market. It's an average of 500 different United States stocks. So it's a safe stock. You have, the ups and downs with some that are canceled out. So all that to say, it's a very safe thing to put your money in. That mutual funds are very safe things to put your money in for long-term investing. So at the S&P 500 is usually about a 10 to 12 return. We're going to use a 10% average rate of return here. So after those 8 years, Saver Sam has a total contribution of $45,790. The total interest from this investment is $22,600. So over this 8-year span, he saved up and got from interest a total of $68,400.
So to recap, for comparison, Carl ended up paying $60,800 for a $50,000 vehicle. That after 8 years will be realistically 55% less than its original value at $27,500. In short, that's a loss of about $33,300.
Correct. And then below that, you'll see, we just did a quick little subtraction there. You have how much he ended up paying in total, the $60,000, and then minus what he could probably get for it 8 years later at the 55% depreciation right there below it. So $33,000, like you said, $33,300 loss.
So you're saying that, let's ask this question, because some people want to know this answer. Mm-hmm. What would Carl get if he were to try to go trade it in?
You'd get less than that. Yeah. $27,500 is probably your top of the line, what you get at a private party sale. So when you're trading, maybe like 23. I'm not the best with that with car sales, but it'd be about $5,000 less usually.
And you paid over $60,000 for it.
Exactly.
In 8 years, you're getting not even half of
You're
that.
losing half of what. You're losing more than half of what you paid for it, which is crazy when you really look at it in that lens of what a $50,000 vehicle can cost you.
But Carl had fun. All right, Saver Sam.
Carl, he had fun.
And now this is it. This is the thing. Now it's time to do it all over again. It's a cycle.
Exactly, in which that we're going to dive into that too on a long term. Oh. Yeah, so this one's a short example, and what we're going to do next after this, like Lex said, is look at the long term effects of if you keep doing it, keep rolling into the next one. So that's good. That's a good point, because this is just one.
Yeah.
So all that to say, to go off the same example, is Saver Sam, who spent that same $15,000 on a car, but he also invested that car note, would have been over 8 years, he ending with a balance of $68,400. Now below that, you'll see we subtracted the $15,000 for the car he paid, so he ends with gaining $53,400. So in short, just to comparison those two and put it simply, that's an $86,700 swing in equity between the two in over 8 years.
Now explain that in terms that people are not understanding.
So,
in my terms.
Yeah, exactly. And below that, you'll see. So Car Note Carl lost $33,000 right there in red, and Sam gained $53,000. So imagine zero is your point. Mm-hmm. You got $33,000 in the negative direction, and you got $53,000 in the positive direction. You make up that difference in both those numbers. Yeah. So in reality, that's an $86,700 swing in money amount between the two people. Mm-hmm. So, one lost $30,000, one gained $50,000. off of the same choices with a different vehicle.
That's good.
Yeah, and so when you're able to view it in this way and you see your car note that way, it becomes crystal clear how it can steal from your wealth in the long term. So it's a quick, short way to just see like, wow, that's only one life of car cycle too. Mm-hmm. So that's just showing in short and quick little way for you to see it's costing you a lot more than $50,000 in a lot of different ways. And so real quick too, if you haven't heard of a term called opportunity cost, the opportunity cost is, in short, what you're giving up when you make a decision on something. So, when you choose one thing, you're always giving up another. So here, what's on display is when Carl chose that vehicle, he gave up that $86,000 swing, the 53,000-ish equity of growth in his money. So that was his opportunity cost. He paid a lot more than, from that decision to have that new vehicle.
Okay, and moving on into long-term effects, like we just briefly mentioned, that was with one car. One car is not going to last you until the day you die. It's a vicious cycle. And unless if Car Note Carl watched this podcast and changed his ways, he is going to start that cycle all over again. So back up on the screen, 2 comparisons, and this is for 4 cycles. So for 32 years, this is the lifespan that we're going over. Carl did the same scenario we just discussed for 4 car cycles, 32 years. So he will have lost $133,200 from paying on a depreciating assets. On the other side, Saver Sam, he's rolling in the dough. So let's say Sam did the same thing, same cycle for 32 years. Sam would have $1,203,000 after investing $477 a month for 32 years. And that's just saying him keeping the $477. As promotions go on, as he gets married, income increases, that's it's going to be even more.
So if you look here, we're going to subtract the cost of those vehicles he had. So 32 years, we're doing an 8-year car note, or an 8-year car cycle. So that's 4 car cycles for him as well. So we're going to take that $1.2 million and subtract the equivalent of 4 vehicles, each at $15,000, which would which would multiply to be $60,000. So you subtract that $60,000 from the $1.2 million, that leaves him with over $1 million, $1,100,000. So all that to say, in simplistic form, is that Saver Sam is now a millionaire just from that small decision alone of $477 a month. So, and like all that to say, I'm not saying that $477,000 is not a lot of money.
Right.
And this whole walkthrough example is just to show you what the effects of the money could be, no matter the amount. Because this is just a set number we're using, but even $200, what that could be in the same amount of span that he used. But all that to say is, when you try to make that sacrifice for roughly $500 a month, how you could be a millionaire and set yourself up. And now Saver Sam can buy whatever vehicle he wants outright, and it's not even like touching his his net worth. Like, it's become where he's got that freedom
because he had his priorities right from the beginning. And that's what me and Kendall try to make very clear is we do practice what we preach, because we understand, and especially Kendall, but Kendall does a good job at leading us and educating himself, and to be able to look so far in the future for us that now, even at a young age, we are able to have 2 nice vehicles.
Exactly.
Because we do it in the right order.
Yeah, and we didn't start off that way.
No.
We both had car notes before we got married, and then we ended up paying them off together after we got married, and we didn't go back from there. But we didn't. I mean, I grew a lot in the past few years, as well as Lex has, in financial maturity, and so there's a lot of things I learned that I didn't know at the time. And so our main goal and my hope and why I love doing this is because I like to share with people like how easily you can be a millionaire even in today's world. And I know stuff's expensive now, and inflation's crazy, and all these things that are costing more. The houses are costing way more than they were, and I agree with all that. But there's still little things we can do to help set ourselves up, because you can't rely on the government at the end of the day.
No,
and you can't rely on Social Security to be everything you use in the future if you even have it. And that's not to scare you, but there's no, just don't rely on getting it. Let that be extra. Let you be set up on your own, and the Social Security just be icing on the cake. Because what my heart is for people is to really have them be financially free when their retirement age comes, whatever age that might be. You don't want someone to be just relying on the government. And then we hope and pray every day that our government gets better and they make the right decisions. But what people need to really start doing is making those decisions for themselves first and saying, okay, I'm going to take care of my household and myself, and God's going to provide as long as I do things right through Him. Mm-hmm. And so all that to say, what are a couple things that help set you up for your long-term financial success? There's little things that you can change that might not be a $500 car note that can really affect your retirement age. And like Lex mentioned, it's never too late. Like we wanted to say like that, maybe Carl saw after that one cycle, I want to switch.
Yeah.
And it's instead of 32 years, he's got 24.
Yeah.
That's still a ton of time. People think, oh, it's too late. It's not. And you need to start, because the amount doesn't matter. It's the time and what you're putting in little by little. It doesn't matter how much it is. So
our last two things that we have real quick, answer the question, what are a couple of things that I can do to help set myself up for long-term financial freedom? Our first thing, we've said it a million times as we've been sitting here. Acquire assets that will grow and not depreciate. Those depreciating assets, the cars, mobile homes, campers, RVs, dirt bikes, motorcycles, all of your fun, bigger purchase items.
Boats. Find a friend who has a boat. Don't get one.
The best advice we have: find a friend that has a boat and find a friend that has a pool.
Pay for gas money. And be like, hey.
Pay for gas money and offer to clean. And be on time.
Yeah. So yeah, that's going on with that point. Yeah, you never usually want more than 50% of what you have annually coming in as your annual income tied up in depreciating assets. You really don't want near that either. But the rule of thumb is, say if like there's a person who makes $60,000 a year and has a $50,000 car.
Yeah.
Which is very more prevalent than people may realize.
You'd be surprised.
Yeah, it's very, very common. And that's when you really look at it like that. You make $60,000 and you have a $50,000 vehicle. That math ain't mathin'. Like, that's just not. You don't want that much money tied up in a vehicle.
Girl math doesn't even. Can't help you
exactly.
there.
So a good rule of thumb that a lot of people use is 50%. So say you made $100,000, you could realistically make a $50,000 vehicle an okay purchase in your head. Like, you wouldn't want to go above. It's just half of whatever you're making in a year, kind of thing. Obviously, the lower you can go below that, the better. And if you can pay it off in full, the even more better. So going off what to not put your money in and things that depreciate, just go off of Saver Sam, like things you want to put in that grow and appreciate. Like said, Saver Sam was investing in S&P 500 mutual funds, just safe investments that are going to grow over time. They average a 10% return.
Yeah.
Over years and years and years. So things that you just want to put away that you're never going to use, like your 401ks, things like that, or homes. A house.
Real estate.
Yeah, I know real estate right now is more expensive than it's ever been. So I know that might not be where you're at right now in life, which is okay. Save up for that down payment, so that can be something you put that money towards that instead of $50,000 towards a vehicle. Yeah. Real estate is still a great thing to pursue with your finances. Home ownership's good. You're going to have appreciation in your home as well as you're putting money towards something that's it's growing in value. So
yeah, we have a rental property as well. That was our first home that we lived in.
Yeah, we have a rental home, so I've been using that, and then our current home as ways to different ways to build your wealth. You never want to be. The big thing is you never want to have all your eggs in one basket, is what people say. You want to diversify in case something goes down. This other one's going up. It all averages out. And all that to say, real estate's not for everyone. Home ownership is great. Rental properties might not be something you even want to do or want to have. Just continue to put that money in investments where safe investments that you enjoy. Yeah.
Rental properties can be an emotional roller coaster.
We're going to do an episode on that and our journey through rental properties and how it's great and bad at the same time.
And the second thing, we say it all the time: time is greater than the amount. You've got a lot more time than you think. You're a lot more capable than you think.
Yeah, because even $100 in 30-year span of time is way more than
Better than nothing.
500, yeah, or $500 for 5 years, because what happens during that time, it has more time to grow.
Yeah.
With you have compounding interest that has to have time to grow, and so
Yeah.
$100 over 30 years, far better than 5 years of $500. It's just doing little steps, like we've said.
And don't go get that $100 every month and get it in cash and put it in your mattress. We're talking about putting it places that will grow your money.
Yeah, because when you do that, you've already lost on
Yeah.
that money, because
Just go get a car note.
Yeah, it's not
Just go
even-
get a car.
It's not even keeping up with inflation at that point.
Yeah.
So it's always important to have some cash on hand,
Yeah.
safety funds and stuff like that. But yeah, like she said, you don't want more than like 15, 20 grand, like you want in cash, because it's just it's losing value. So
Yeah.
even put that in a high yield savings account, like we've talked about, is good, because you're at least for sure getting 5% return on it. And there's people who put vacations on credit cards, and we love a good vacation, but we want you to have a vacation, not the vacation have you.
Go to Blue Bayou.
Yeah. Because when the vacation has you is when it's costing you 3 times as much, and it's keeping you from using that money towards things your families could use more than a vacation at that time. Vacations will come, save up for them, do them the right way, pay for them in full, prepare for them. Don't just say, oh, I'm going right now on a vacation, and we put it all on the card.
We're going to Bora Bora, but I have no money, so I'm going to have to put it on the credit card.
It's going to cost you way more. Just prepare. Like we've said, budget, prepare, remember the opportunity cost. What would taking a vacation like that cost you? Or cost your family. That's always a good point to remember, is how does this not just affect me, but how does it affect my wife, my kids? It's a bigger effect sometimes.
Yeah, because just like everything, your decisions don't only affect you. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's with every single decision you will ever make in your life. It's not just affecting you.
Exactly. And so to end on, just remember that it's never too late. And if you do have a car note, we're not shaming you.
No, not at all.
We're just trying to provide you with some great info that we know could really benefit you, and say, hey, after this car cycle, my next one, I'm buying it in cash, and start there. Everyone's walk's different, and everyone's, financial journey's different. There's always going to be someone ahead of you, always going to be someone behind you. Don't compare. Focus on yourself and do the things that you can do to better your life for your reasons, and not for what other people will see and look at you for what you're buying. So
that concludes our time here today. So if you've made it this far, thank you for listening. We really hope we shine a lot of light on a subject that is just so casual now these days. People don't think too much about it, but we hope that it does bring a lot of clarity and comparison to what you have now, what it could be later. We also just made our podcast a TikTok account, so you can follow it at all your HSS, all your heart, soul, and strength. We'll start posting little snippets here and there, even some things that aren't on our podcast. If we have just something short laid on our hearts, we'll start sharing it there as well. But thank you all for hanging out with us, and we will see you next time.
bye, y'all. Hey, wait.
Back to life.